let's talk about schools. For many customers, schools are probably more important than the builder or the floor plan, yet not every community can have the best schools. What do you do when people discuss schools? Is it enough to just pull out your test scores and talk about those, or are there other things that we can do to really position our schools in the best possible light?
I think too many times people think schools are either good or they're bad. And I think what is important to always do is to expound on that goodness. You can't just say a school's great. What's so great about it? Is it location? Is it a new facility? Does it have a library? What special needs does it have on campus for special needs children, whether they are in an accelerated program or they're needing more one-on-one, so it breaks down classroom size. How long has that teaching staff been on that campus? And what kind of even parent support has been involved? Is there a strong PTA?
When I'm talking about schools, you've got to give more than the facts, test scores, or something. You've got to be able to give first-hand knowledge or testimonials from like the teachers or parents that their children go to the school, find out about the PTAs, and just all the knowledge that encompasses the school besides just the test scores.
Find out if they have children who are interested in sports or children who are interested in technology, because it would depend on which schools that they would be more interested in going to.
Are scores just enough? No, they're not enough, because if you look at the stats on these two school systems, they're almost identical. There's the one that's perceived locally as better is only like 30 points out of 800 better. That's no difference really, but it's really perceived as a much better school. So my school system has a magnet program, so I talk about that and just basically talk about the positives of it, the student-teacher ratio, the fact it's a magnet school, bringing in all the best students, diversity of the school.
It's not enough to hand out test scores. They want to know who the principal is, so to be able to actually hand them a packet from that elementary school that their children in fact may be going to, finding out what the bus schedule is going to be and how that's going to impact them and whether or not their children will be able to be on that schedule. That's really important to people. They want to know where their kids are going to be during the day.
One of the things that I have done that has really worked out for me is to go to the local school district and to talk to the people who are in charge of the area's distribution of information and to gather the information from those people there. They're very helpful, and they actually have pamphlets and brochure types of packages that they put together for the different communities. Oftentimes, one of the things that people don't realize is that just because you move into a neighborhood, that doesn't necessarily mean that your children will go to the local school. And so that type of information would be available at the school district as well.
There's other benefits to certain school districts rather than test scores, especially when you go to a new area that you're not familiar with. You go in and you meet the teacher and the principal. For example, the test scores of our elementary school where I am now are not quite up to par when you look at county-wide. However, in investigating, they've got a new principal who came from a school of excellence, and the test scores are slowly coming up. It's getting a very good reputation.
Very easy to walk over, go onto campus, introduce myself, meet the principal, invite her to come back over at her convenience and share more about the school and the overall philosophy.
I've got an example now of someone who has been looking at homes in another part of Cobb County where the schools aren't as good, and they were going to have to go to private schools. And they looked at it and they said, we just can't afford to do that and get this house that we want. So they're looking here where they have access to better public schools that they're comfortable with, and buy in this neighborhood and send them to the public schools.
When you go to a new area and checking out the schools, you do find out more than the academics, because you got to find out what people's hot buttons are. It may be music for one child, it may be football for somebody else, that they want their child to be in sports, it may be the gifted program. There's a whole lot, and so you do get all of that information. Do you give it to everybody all at once? No. It's, you got to figure out what's important. Some people may not even care about the schools because they don't have children. If you're raving about the great schools, you may have just talked yourself out of a sale.